at that time, I wasn't thinking Marine Corps is the best. I want to join the Marine Corps. Their uniforms were badass.
Yeah, you see.
And I said, I looked at them fucking uniforms, and I said, that's badass. I'm gonna, you know. And then the only branch that would take me was the Army. Here we are.
Well, welcome to the Khaos Project. This is Billy.
And Bear.
And Bear. We're excited. We got some great guests today. Just want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Valor's Voyage. It's a new organization that's come into play. We're really focusing basically on housing. And
right.
Valor's Voyage is they've been around for about 16 years, and we're trying to build homes and make them available for first responders, vets, a specific type of community.
Absolutely.
So we'll put the website down at the bottom when we get done with this, and you can check it out for yourself. So right now, Bear, let's introduce your guest. Let's get this baby rolling.
Man, so I reached out to my friends at Echo 5, Ben and Jamie, and they had some time on their schedule. Man, I'm excited to have y'all in the studio today to be talking to you guys about what y'all are trying to do for the veteran community. I mean, we met at a veteran event.
Exactly.
And I mean, we hit it off, right from the jump. And I mean, it's nice to know that good people are still able to find good people.
Well, thank you, and we're excited to be here. So.
Man, we appreciate it. Yeah, we really do. It's been a long time, right? You've been trying to get us here.
Right on.
I'm glad we finally made it.
So why don't you tell us a little about yourselves, and more importantly, tell us about Echo 5 and what y'all are trying to do, man. So which one of y'all wants to go first?
Absolutely, yeah. So Ben Rose, Army. I was Army. Did 8 years active duty, 2 tours Iraq, first CAV. Right here. I was a 19-kilo tanker. Got out in 2014. And Echo 5, man, we're a hat company. We're small, local business. We're a hat company. We do a whole lot of veteran events. We like to do meetups. Just try to get out there and spread the word around about our business. Not only that, but make sure that our veterans are getting the support that they need out there in the community. So that's pretty much it, man. We're just out here. We're just out here doing our thing, man. That's it.
Right on.
Awesome.
So Jamie McQueen, I served 4 years in the Marine Corps. Hoorah. And I was 3521 motor T mechanic. Got some time in, working on fire trucks. That carried me on to my career today. I'm just, I work for an equipment company now. I'm just a glorified mechanic. But it's been a fun ride. Ben and I have been neighbors and best friends for some time, and
About 10 years now, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more or less. And we started out with a Facebook platform, just veteran humor. Trying to reach out to our brothers and sisters out there, and create a safe place for them to come, and people get our dark humor. Not everybody gets veteran humor, right? So we created that, and we didn't get a lot of traction at first. Mm-hmm. And we were on the verge of just shutting down the page, because it's just like, okay, why are we doing this? And then Ben came up with the hat idea. Hey, let's start making some hats, and see where this goes. And so for the past year, this year, this is what we started doing, and it's starting to open some doors for us. We're getting some exposure in our general community. We do a lot of events with the local VFW. That's where we met,
right.
And
Yep.
So we hope to just keep carrying this momentum forward and going at 25, positive. Things are looking positive. We just, looking for that opportunity to get some traction and more exposure. And so we greatly appreciate being here.
Right on.
Well, who are some of the organizations you guys are kind of hanging out with? I know there's a lot of different veteran organizations out there, locally, nationally, and all that. But I know you guys, we were talking earlier today, you were talking about, man, we really want to connect to some of the more local guys, because we're here local.
Yeah.
So who are some of those guys y'all have found that have been receptive to what you guys are doing?
Well, we do a lot with the various different groups on social media. So that was something we had to learn, right? So, the page itself has been around since 2017. So we're not new on the internet. We've been out there. We've been around. we like to use the various different Facebook groups like Texas Military Veterans, Houston Military Veterans, and that's kind of how we, gather our troops, if you will, for our meetup events. We work those groups. We get various different veterans from all different types of fields in business, and we just kind of use those. That's other than the VFW, the American Legion things that we do with you. Right. We just kind of use those groups, man, so we can have our little meetups and just kind of get out there in the community.
Right on.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's sometimes challenging to find groups. And I really appreciate you guys trying to find groups, using the social media, passing the word around, getting connected. The hardest part for veterans, I think, today is not so much finding a group, but finding the right groups.
The right groups.
There's a lot of new groups out there. The whole veteran connectivity community thing it's become a very popular concept.
Yep.
But not everybody's doing good things.
Well, a lot of guys miss their service. They want that community. They want that tribe, man. I mean,
the camaraderie, no doubt. Yeah.
The camaraderie, man. I mean, you miss that stuff when you're in the military. It's not the bad stuff that you miss. It's all the good stuff. It's being next to, men and women next to you that share gallows humor. We were talking about that before we started rolling, man. Not everybody appreciates your sense of humor. Yeah. But the right guys do.
Yeah, exactly. I know you did when we met you.
A trauma bond is definitely a something that you'll always look for again after you don't have it anymore on your day to day.
That's true.
So.
And that is the core right there.
Yep.
It's really a trauma bond.
Right.
And there's different levels of trauma. You can't base your experience and say, well, yours isn't, as bad as mine. That's irrelevant.
Right.
But that's what bonds us as veterans. So.
Right on, man. This is kind of like an unlikely friendship. You got a Marine here and an Army dude.
Kind
of like me and Shap.
Yeah.
I keep him well fed on crayons.
Yep.
And I'm grateful for it.
The purple ones don't taste like grape.
No, they don't. Yeah. I'm sticking with red.
Right
Still
on,
my favorite.
on.
It's still my favorite color, man. Yeah. Everybody sees it.
Hey, you said you were neighbors, man. What made you want to join the military, man? I know you got a funny story with, I think you were almost a Marine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, it's funny because the reason I joined was just very simple. I was working in a shop. A couple of Marine recruiters come in and they were wearing their dress uniforms, right? I said, man, I'm young, early 20s, right? I seen these two dudes come in there and I said, man, I think I'm gonna join the Marine Corps. And that's exactly how it went, just that day. And then so I called the recruiters, they left, and I called them and I said, hey, thinking about joining the Marine Corps. And they said, okay. And I said, well, I got a couple things I need to ask you about first. At that time, I had a record.
Right.
I had a criminal record, so I'd been kind of in and out of jail as a juvenile. So I had all misdemeanor stuff, nothing crazy, but I did have a record.
Right.
So the Marine says, well, he said, no, we won't take you, try the Air Force. I said, all right. I called the Air Force. I said, okay. Air Force said, no, try the Navy. Navy said, try the Marine Corps. I said, well, I started with the Marine Corps.
So that's where all the good Army guys come
from. Yeah. So after all of them, I said, well, try the Army. I said, all right. I go down there. I see Staff Sergeant Parker. And he says, what kind of record do you got? And I said, I'll just kind of explain it to him, a little minor stuff. He said, well, we get a waiver for that. There's a waiver for that. And so if you look at like the website, right, for some of our products, you'll see some of the funny names we've given some of our hats. So that's the reason I say for the Army hats, the only branch that would take me. Because it's literally the only branch that would take me back then.
I love it.
So that's why the Army hats are called the only branch that would take me.
The waiver cover.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a waiver cover.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
And I didn't really, at that time, I wasn't thinking Marine Corps is the best. I want to join the Marine Corps. Their uniforms were badass.
Yeah, you see.
And I said, I looked at them fucking uniforms and I said, that's badass. I'm going to, And then the only branch that would take me, was the Army. Here we are.
Right on.
Very
right
cool.
8 years
Very
active
cool.
duty in the
Yeah.
Army, and yep, it's the only one that would take me. So,
on. Bro, they do have the best uniforms.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They seriously do.
so you always hear people say, "I almost joined the Marine Corps." Well, I almost joined the Marine Corps. They just wouldn't take me. So I ended up in the Army.
One of the coolest things about Veterans Day is
Yeah.
the one day I get to don the uniform because somebody always wants me to speak somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm usually literally the only one in the crowd that's got one of those beautiful blue, red striped uniforms on there,
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I still got
kinda
mine.
fun.
I just don't fit.
do y'all have the silkies to go with that uniform?
No comment.
Okay.
No
all right.
comment.
All right. I had to humble some people real quick.
I may have them on now. I'll never tell.
Right on. Right on.
Some things we just don't share publicly.
I mean, it'd be a lot more cooler if you did.
Marines are already cool.
What about you, Jamie? You
Well,
a lot of Marines.
my story is not queer as quite as funny as Ben's, but my senior year, I found myself married and had a kid, and a lot of that was just typical young kid. Didn't I thought I knew everything, and very little guidance. So I was like, man, I need a job. When I graduate high school, what are my options? And we were a struggling middle class family for sure. And I was like, well, college is not going to happen because that's one of the things I think. We push college on everybody so hard, and then forget about tech schools, right? So if it wasn't the military, it probably would have been a tech school because that's how I am. I'm a technical guy, but I decided, well, let me check out the military. They got good benefits. I need something to support my family. And the only person that came up and talked to me was, Sergeant Aguirre, in the Marines, right? So I said, well, okay, yeah, they got cool uniforms.
Yeah, they do.
Right on.
They do.
So we struck up a conversation, and I did the delayed entry program, and left right after I graduated. I mean, we graduated May 9th, and he's like, hey, take your summer and, come back, and August we'll ship you out to boot camp. And I'm like, nah, if you give me this summer, you'll never see me again.
Yeah, you're coming back.
So, yeah. So, I mean, we graduated in May, and June, I was in boot camp, so.
If you had to do it all over again, would you make the same choices? Or would you choose a different branch of service, or maybe timing would be different, or maybe you found
Ben
out
had
about-
no choice.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
under the same circumstances, I mean, it would probably play out the same because I didn't really pursue any other branches because they came to me, so I thought they had interest, right? I would probably go that same route again.
If you had to do it different, let's say the record wasn't there. Yeah, I mean, we all get caught doing dumb shit every now and then.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes we have to pay the cost for that. We don't really know the exact
right.
cost.
That's right.
But if you had to do it all over again, would you still choose the Army, or would you have, what ifs going in the Marine Corps because that was your original choice?
I mean, to be completely honest, I would have done exactly what I did.
Okay.
I would have probably, had the Marine Corps said, I'll take you, I would have probably went with them because I wasn't looking at the branches. Like I really wasn't even looking at what branches what and who does. I was a young, early 20s kid,
right.
and all I wanted to do was join the military.
Right.
So I don't really think I cared either way.
Knowing what you know now, though.
Knowing what I know now, I would have went in the Air Force if I could have gotten in.
Okay. All right.
So, and that's what I tell my kids too. Knowing right now, I would have hoped the Air Force would have taken me, but no, I had such a good time in the Army, man. It was rough at times, but the people, the friends that I have because of it, wouldn't change it for the world. Who knows what kind of friends I'd have if I'd have went in the Air Force? You know?
Probably not as cool ones.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. There's no way.
Right. I just read a book about John Chapman. He received the Medal of Honor, and he was Air Force dude. Mm-hmm. He was a combat controller. Man, that story. I didn't know how bad these dudes. Like the Air Force catches a lot of shade, right?
Yeah.
But you hear every military guy, man, I should join the Air Force.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody told me a long time ago, these guys, what they'll do is they'll spend their budget on like living and quality of life, and then they go to Congress and, hey man, I need an airfield. Well, you don't have any choice but to give. They need the money, to sustain operations, you know. But Army and Marine Corps, man, they always put mission first, and then quality of life was afterwards, man. But the Air Force always had the coolest shit. They always had the nicest shit.
I'm telling you.
I don't know. Coast Guard seemed pretty cool too. The Air Force has some bad dudes, man. I mean,
Oh yeah.
those guys are those PJs, PTACs, combat controllers. I mean, those are some hard human beings, man. I don't want to dog too much in the Air Force, but they've got some pipe hitters there.
Oh, absolutely. When, you know, like we're kicking it around in Baghdad, and you know, like it was my first tour over there. I started seeing Air Force guys, you know, walking around. I said, "Oh man, what are you guys doing out here?" You know, and I didn't realize PJs.
Yeah.
I didn't know what PJ was then. You know, so I get to think, man, what are these guys? What? There's just this little small group of Air Force guys, you know, hanging around this little, you know, shithole little fob and outside of Baghdad. And I said, what the fuck could these guys be doing? I later found out it was a little group of PJs that was, you know, out there doing their thing. So, but yeah, I didn't know at that time. I didn't know the Air Force had a, you know, any kind of special operations at all.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so when I started learning about those guys, I said, okay, they got a good life, I think, over there, man. They seem to be treated very well compared to everybody else, you know. The Army, they just throw you in fucking anywhere, you know. Shove you back here behind the fucking burn pit, you know, in Iraq. And hey, go live over there, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Need a shower?
That,
Too
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely. I remember the first time I ever walked into just a naval barracks. You know, I got dispatched down to a little place called Sasebo, and we were doing like, what was that? It was a military deal back in '95. I was in mainland Japan, and it was one of the exercises. So all the ships were loading out in Sasebo, and so I went down there because stuff was broke down, you know, of course, right? So they let us stay in this naval barracks, and you know, I walked in, I was like, they have carpet.
What is what is that?
I mean, I was just overwhelmed that they had carpet, because all our Marine barracks, you know, they're all tile, and we got to strip it and wax it.
Black
you know.
mold.
Yeah. You know, one of the best achievements I can say that, you know, out of everything I learned how to be the best janitor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can clean some stuff, and you know, we had a janitorial company, ironically enough, my wife and I, for a long time, where, you know, because I knew how to clean. So you know, it's a skill. It's a joke, but it's, you know, to make about, you know, the Navy taught me a career, the Army taught me a career, and you do the mop thing. But it's true. I mean, it carried us over on a lot of things. So, but carpet was the thing. Carpet.
What is carpet?
Yeah. Navy's not sounding pretty bad right now either.
Yes. Yeah. I can tell you, I know how to swing them off like nobody's business.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good buffer.
Yeah.
Like an AIT.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I could rake the shit out of some rocks.
Oh yeah.
But
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
wow.
Man, that's awesome. Y'all have got definitely some experience out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So how did, you know, when you got out and you wanted to transition back, I always enjoy hearing how did transitioning back into the civilian world go, because we do so much today trying to reconnect to our tribes.
Yeah.
So did transition go well? Was it challenging? Is it still challenging even after all these years?
I mean, I'll tell you, you know, you can probably relate too, because I got out in '97. So, you know, the internet and the information that was out there, wasn't like it is today. Right. We weren't that big on information, and there was, I really wasn't ready to get out. I mean, I hate to say I almost stayed in, but I was sitting there and I had a lot of influences saying, hey, it's time to get out, come home, and so I kind of did that, but that was my regret. I really kind of wished I'd have stayed a little bit now. Yeah. But with that said and done, when I did get out, there was that loss of camaraderie. There was that, that loss of tribe, as you say. And there wasn't a whole lot of places to reach out. Again, social media wasn't a thing. And, I didn't even have a cell phone. That wasn't a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Cell phones, if you could afford one, it was like $1.50 a minute.
I remember those days.
Someone would call you, and you're like, you call somebody, hey, call me back, because incoming calls were free.
Right.
So that was the trick. You made a call, call me back.
Wait till after 7.
Yeah, after 7, friends and family.
I don't care if you're paying the bill, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right. So, I looked for different things to kind of pacify that, and fortunately, I ran into some good guys I worked with, and they had good hobbies that I got into Civil War reenacting. That was a great gig because there was a lot of veterans in there, and so and you got to go out and march around and on a field and live in a tent, and you only had to do it a couple of times a year. The bad thing here in Texas is they always want to have these reenactments during August, and you're wearing all this this wool clothing, so. But you get the full experience of what people did back in those days if you get into it. So that was fun. That gave me some camaraderie, and but that eventually played out too. And again, I found myself sitting there going, man, I miss having basically a band of brothers, Right. And so that's where I went into the Texas State Guard, because Texas has its own standing army basically. Right. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty fun. I did that for about 4 years, and finally got to a point where I'm like, well, I need to do something different, and left that behind too. But that was a great experience. That was fun.
All right.
I don't regret that at all. But there's my story on that.
So when you say Texas State Guard, you talking about the National Guard?
No, Texas State Guard. You got the National Guard, then you got the Texas State Guard, which is Texas's army.
So how does that work?
Man, I don't know how to lay it all out, but it's controlled basically by the state and the governor. But they work a lot with the National Guard. We went to all the facilities and trained there.
Wow.
So a good example, when the space shuttle came apart, they called upon the State Guard to go out and try to find pieces. So that was just some of the recovery efforts and things like that.
They have all the same standards as like regular
Army,
or?
Oh yeah.
Yep. But you're not. Are you contracted in the State Guard?
No, it's completely volunteer unless you get called out and have orders. I mean, other than that, but you get a lot of the benefits. So you do see a lot of people in there that are taking advantage of the benefits offered by the state. Right. So it's a good little organization. It's pretty much non-deployable except Texas. You're not going to find yourself, in Baghdad or anything like that.